Hi there, my name is John Karpuk. I'm a first year medical student at UMass Medical School. For undergrad, I studied mechanical engineering at McGill University in Montreal. I took the MCAT between my fourth and fifth years at McGill in the summer of 2017. To prepare for the exam, I took the Princeton Review course. It's the complete course that does the in-person class plus the online stuff. And overall, I really liked the course, but I found that it was really expensive. Not only was I paying around $2,500 for the course, plus the cost of commuting and parking in Boston, I also found that I had to take off the summer in order to take it properly and be available during class times. Um, and I figured, overall the course with commuting and parking cost around 3,000, maybe 3,500, and not working was another 5,000 that I guess was an opportunity cost of not working. Um, a little bit about the class. It was 3 hours each day in Boston, taught by a series of instructors. We were about 7 people in the class. And then outside of the class, I also used the Princeton Review problem sets and read their textbooks. I found that the problem sets were probably the best part about studying, is I learned all the strategies that I would need for the exam, and also at the same time as learning the content. Um, in addition to those resources with the Princeton Review, I also used Khan Academy on subjects I didn't really understand. I tried to Google things that I didn't understand, but really found that often led me down a rabbit hole where I was getting into answers that were in way too much depth for the scope of the exam. So after a little bit, I decided I wouldn't Google things and just try to stick with either the resources and provided by them, or use Khan Academy, or try to find other people that could recommend resources instead of Googling it myself. Um, and the last thing is I also found a couple podcasts that were geared towards MCAT prep, and because I had about 2 hours, 2.5 hours every day of commuting, those were really helpful. I could just listen to them in the car. Uh, for practice tests, I took a total of 5 practice tests. I had 3 months to study, so I did one at the end of the first month, one at the end of the second month, and then I did three, one each week in the week leading up to the exam. And then the week before the exam, I didn't take any. And on my first one, I scored around a 503. And then on the third one, so about 2 months into studying, I was right on 510. And then in the last one, a week before the exam, I got a 515. And that's where I was going into the exam. For me, exam day prep was a big thing. I wanted to be in the right headspace going into the exam. And so I started on the day before, and I woke up early the day before, and I ate everything that I was planning to eat during the exam. So I had yogurt for breakfast with some fruit, and then a sandwich and an apple at my lunch. And then obviously not going to eat dinner during the exam, but for dinner that night, the night before the exam, I had pasta and chicken. And so it was just like a high carb and really easy on the stomach, because the last thing you want to do is have any sort of gut issues. On the day before the exam, I also drove to the test center so that I knew the route, I knew where it was, how long it would take, and thought about how much traffic would be so I could arrive early and not have to stress about that. And also, I didn't really study the day before the exam. It was a decision I made, that I didn't want to be stressed out studying late into the night the day before. And so I went for a walk and just tried to clear my head, went for a bike ride. And yeah, and I don't really sleep before exams, so I was awake in bed most of the night, but I tried to go to bed early and just get rest, even if it wasn't really sleep, and get my head as clear as I could before the exam. And that's a struggle, but it's you do the best that you can. And then on the exam day, my alarm went off early. I had woke up, had coffee and breakfast, so everything I had the day before, and got my lunch and hit the road. And my pre-exam ritual is I always listen to Monster by Kanye West, and it's just like a really like pumped up song, and it, like got me going. And I like some people like to take exams relaxed. For me, I like to take them like high blood pressure and like my heart rate going. And so that's like the song that I listen to before every exam. I started it with the SATs, and I still do that for exams now in medical school. And yeah, it's just like, to me, having that ritual is really helpful. And I like dance a little bit on my way into exams, get my blood flowing. Uh, and then the exam itself, the exam is brutal. It's 8 hours. It's so long. It's like 8 hours, so it feels long, but it also feels like you're rushed the whole time. And it's stressful. It's rough. For me, cars was the toughest section. I was barely able to read the few passages at the end. And at the end of the exam, I was walking out. I wasn't sure how I'd done. I wasn't even sure if I'd clicked the score button. Everything sort of gets fuzzy back there. You just like, you're in such a stressed out state and don't know if I bombed it or if I'd done well. And, I knew I had a month before I'd even find out. And so I did get my score a month later, and I was pretty happy when I got them. I scored a 518 overall, which got me into the 97th percentile. And my breakdown was Chem Phys a 130, a Cars 127, Biochem 129, and then Psych Soc got a perfect 132. And I was stoked about that. That was so cool. If I had to do it all again, if I was looking at taking the MCAT once more, I think I would do it pretty differently. I really liked the class. I liked the people that I met in it, but it was a lot of time. It was 3 hours a day for the class, but it was also 2.5 hours a day of driving and just commuting to class. So, for every hour I spent in class, I spent an hour in the car, which wasn't really great. And as nice as the podcasts were, it wasn't really an efficient way to study. And so I'd get home at 2 in the afternoon. I'd already spent 6 hours of work for the exam, but I'd only spent 3 hours really studying and learning. So I think it burned me out really quickly, and I didn't have time where I was doing something productive that wasn't studying, and so I wasn't working, and that was really tough because mentally I was only studying at the time, and so anything that I was doing that wasn't studying was wasting time in a way, and that was really just unhealthy for me mentally. And so I think doing something like working and finding some way to study around a schedule would be a lot better than just taking time off and studying. And yeah, I think it was just like a mental health thing. I was super stressed out, and it kind of ruins your life for a while. And so with all that in mind, I'd probably look at some more specialized tutoring where I could get like tutoring that works around my schedule and tutoring that works around the subject that I really need to work on. Because like Cars for me was a real struggle, and I could have really done some more work there and gotten some more specialized help there. So I hope this helps you clear up any sort of misgivings that you have, and yeah, good luck on the exam when you do take it, and you're gonna do great.